And I'm the Ringmaster.
And we find treasure
with this.
The boys from Garrett Metal Detectors are in town. We're going to do a little interview with them.
They want to know what we're all about. I don't know why they want to know, but they do. So we're going to tell them.
We don't even know what we're all about.
So we're going to try to tell them.
We're going to wing it, and hopefully we don't look too stupid, or worse yet, make them look bad. Get off me. What's wrong with you?
All right, we are out today in the beautiful country of Anaconda, Montana, and we're here with George Wyant and Tim Saylor, stars of the hit TV show Diggers on National Geographic Channel. We thought we'd spend a little time with them and ask them a few questions, how they get into all this, and just give you some insight into these guys and why they are the guys that they are.
That's going to take a long time, Steve.
We're still trying to figure that out.
Okay, how long you been digging? How long you been doing this kind of stuff?
Man, I got my first detector back in the 80s, but, you know, until I moved out here about 10 years ago, I never really started in on it. And when George and I first met, that's when it took off. That's when we decided, you know what, I need something better than this old detector. We started doing research, came across the GTI 2500 of all things,
right.
You know, and I mean, I just sit there and stare at pictures of it, you know, and it's like, I think this is the one I need. I was talking to him about it. He wasn't too excited about spending tons of money on it, but...
Actually, Ringy and I were, you know, with all the old cabins in Montana, that's kind of where we got started. I lived here my whole life. I knew a lot of places we could hunt. I heard a lot of stories about treasure being found. So when I first met Tim, we decided we're going to get detectors together, and we started researching them. And like you say, he came across the GTI 2500. He researched it, I was researching it, and then he told me the price. And I said, there's no way I'm going to spend $900 on a machine. There's no chance. And he's like, well, that's the one I'm getting. Yeah. So, you know, you can get it or not, whatever. And I'm like, dang it.
Well, back up, how did you guys first meet each other, though?
You go ahead.
You weren't living in the same town back then, were you?
Yeah, we were.
Okay.
I moved here about a little over 10 years ago, and it just weirdly, you know, as I was organizing the house, moving stuff in, I came across this antique detector I had, and I thought, you know, I live in an old mining town. I'm going to go out in the backyard, just see what happens.
Right.
You know, I barely even remembered how to use it. You know, I went out there and immediately found 3 silver dimes.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, why haven't I been doing this my whole life? You know, I immediately got rehooked. And so, you know, we got on the phone together, and, you know, after he found out I was interested in the market, you know, maybe buying a new one, and he's like, you know, we could go here, we could go there, and we just started talking about it, and it snowballed into the fact that we bought 2 GTIs, started going around, and eventually it just ended up being this. Yeah. It's a long, long story, but it's just weird that it happened that way.
But y'all obviously kind of gelled, you kind of clicked. I mean, tell us about, you get these nicknames for each other that, you know, we kind of hear on, you know, TV, Ringy and KG, you know, what's the story behind all that?
How that kind of got started is we would go out and hit old cabins and old yards and swimming holes, and then I just started pulling out silver dollar after silver dollar. I mean, I had like 4 or 5 silver dollars before any of the other team had one, you know, and then I'd pull one out, and then like a month later I'd pull another silver dollar out, and him and my brother and Travis, they used to say, you're the king. I mean, you're the king of silver dollars. So they started calling me KG, and that's how King George came about. You know, they named me, I didn't name myself. And then everywhere we would go, he would find rings. Like, we'd go to a yard, he'd pull out 1 or 2 rings. We'd go to a swimming hole, he'd find a ring, and he got like cases of rings. So yeah. Obviously I just nicknamed him the Ringmaster, and that's just how the names came about, you know.
Kind of been shortened to KG and Ringy.
Yeah. So now we got nicknames for our nicknames.
You know. So did you ever find any silver dollars, or did he just Did he kind of rule on that?
You know, I clawed my way back over the years. It took me like 8 or 9 years, but I finally caught him, and I think now we each have 5.
Yeah.
But I mean, it hurt me so bad. One of his silver dollars, that the first one from the 1800s, he found like in 1882 or 3. I can't remember what
82.
it was, but huge tree. We're out in a ghost town, and I walked around one side of the tree, and then about an hour later, he came down that path and went around the other side of the tree, and that's where the dollar was. And when he showed it to me, and then he goes, I go, "Where'd you find that?" And he took me back there and showed me, and it took me like a week to sleep again.
To get over that.
Smart. I knew where to go.
And then another time, he found 2 like about this close to each other.
Yeah.
2 Morgan dollars under this big tree, and he found them, and I still hadn't found any silver dollars. And we were going home driving, you know, and he's just got them like this, just clinking them in his hand, rolling them back and forth, and I was just like nauseous.
Oh. So you guys give each other a fair amount of grief out there from what I can see.
No, we're always very polite to each other.
Right.
It's a friendly competition, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you like when each other finds something awesome, but you always are envious too.
Yeah, it is true though. You know, a lot of people can't get over that or whatever, but if he finds something great, I mean, that, to me, that's, it would be no fun if you were the only one that found something every time, because everybody else would not be having any fun. You want to share in it. The great days are the ones when, you know, all 4 of us used to go out, and bam, 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 every one of us would come home with a silver coin at least or something, and everybody was happy, you know.
So Team ATC, that's kind of the 4 of you guys, and the ATC University. What's behind all that? What does that stand for?
Anaconda Treasure Company. That's the company we founded ourselves, you know, before the TV and all the excitement of diggers and all that came about.
Yeah.
It was our own company. We just got a couple metal detectors, decided to make some DVDs to sell on eBay or Amazon or wherever, just to make a few bucks so that we could afford maybe a new machine or a trip somewhere once a year. And then it just went out of control.
So that's where the extreme detecting videos came about,
Yep.
extreme metal detecting.
Yep.
Yeah, it was
Tell
just
us about that.
It was just a, you know, it was like a thing where we were watching other videos to get, you know, just to learn new tips. We were learning, you know, and, you know, right away the learning curve is steep, you know, you start picking stuff up, and he'd order a DVD off the internet, and everything was a planted fake find, and a lot of it wasn't disguised. It's just that they were training you how to find stuff. So, you know, they'd always pull out a $20 gold piece, you know, like it happened every day. And we were looking at them thinking, you know, we could make real videos, ones that were, you know, more interesting and shows the excitement of the moment and everything. And so just out of the blue, we just made the decision and bought all the software, the computers, the cameras, and just started carrying them for 2 years. And we knew it would take forever because obviously you're filming a bunch of stuff that's never going to be used. You know, every time you dig a memorial penny, nobody cares. But man, when stuff did happen, we got the real reactions, and people really liked it. They reacted to that when they saw it.
I mean, the style in there is kind of crazy and, you know, off the wall. It's not your average detecting guys out there, the way y'all act.
No, it's I mean, it's as intense as it can be for metal detecting, and we kind of, you know, we'd go nuts, run around, freak out, do flips. We didn't care. And it's just the way we are in real life. I mean, we don't fake anything. I mean, we're not going to fake a dig. We're going to dig it up. It's going to be real. You know,
Right.
like it or not, that's what you get.
Yep. And I mean, you know, for TV production stuff, everybody knows that, you know, a lot of times we'll find something, and, you know, if it starts to rain or the light changes or whatever, they'll say, okay, put it back in the hole, pull it back out. You know, we do that all the time. That's just normal stuff.
But all the finds are real.
But
I mean,
the
nothing's
finds
planted on the show.
are real. There has never been an item that we dug up that was not found. You know, I mean, we went out, found it, and then, you know, if we have to change the angle or something, whatever.
Well,
But
I assume you're there for a period of time working it, because at the end of the show you might see the table with all the bags of stuff that's been tagged and bagged, but we only saw you find 5 or 6, you know, key things on the show, you know. But
Yeah, I mean, what people have to understand about the show is we film, you know, 5 to 7 days straight, you know, 80, 90 hours a week for a 22-minute segment. I mean, we're not going to show filling in every hole. We're not going to show the flip tops. I mean, we're there for you know, to entertain and to show people what you really do find out there if you put enough time in.
But your reactions are genuine. I mean, you're really excited when you find a $50 or some old colonial coin or something.
Yeah, yeah. They actually try to film real time everything, you know. But a lot of times after you find it and you freak out, and you can see a cameraman in the background or a house or a car or whatever, you know, that's part of it. You know, and then we got to go back and then we got to put it in, and then they get the little camera so they can get the good details and stuff out of it. You know, but the reactions are usually 100% genuine.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got, you know, family and all. You've got kids and all that. Are they proud or are they embarrassed when they see these shows?
My kids love it. I mean, they love it. You know, we do talks at the school, and the teachers are always having us in, and everywhere we go, we're being noticed and all that. You know, and my wife, you know, it's a little harder on her because basically when I leave, she's a single parent, and she has a lot to deal with. You know, it's hard in that aspect. You know, but they're behind me.
Yeah.
And my son, it's funny because he, you know, he's a teenager, and teenagers don't want anything to do with their parents. Like, you know, he'll make his mother drop him off a couple blocks away from the school, you know, because he doesn't want to be seen with the parent. But, you know, he's interested in the show, and it's just kind of funny because I always threaten. It's like, you know, I'll come to your school and give a little talk. And he's like, no, Dad, don't do it. Don't do it. But he does. He loves history. He loves, like, guns from the 1800s, and he's definitely into that kind of stuff. So he loves to hear what we're finding.
Yeah. You brought a couple of finds with you. You had a few things we can look at. Some
Oh,
of your
yeah,
favorite
definitely.
Stuff. What we can do is look at a couple things here, and if there's time later, maybe we can go back and check out, you know, I know you got a lot of silver coins and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was just hoping you'd bring a couple things today just to, you know, give people an idea of the kind of things you found in the past.
Oh, just fun stuff. Stuff like this. I mean, when this came out of the ground, you remember that?
Yep.
That was fun. We were out on a detecting trip, you know, for a weekend or something, and I pulled this out. It's just one of those unexpected things, and it's just massive old piece of jewelry. And I mean, you know,
that cross is nice. I like that.
Yep. And I did manage to catch KG
over
over the years.
Oh, now you're going to show your silver. Okay.
Gotta show. But I mean, it doesn't happen very often. I mean, if you think about it, my first detector was in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's 2013, and still I've only found $5. You know.
$5. Those are good $5. Though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to work hard for them.
Oh yeah.
So these mean more to me than any, you know, even though they're worth, you know, $20, $30 a piece.
Right.
They mean more than a rare one to me.
It's like a piece of history. I mean, it's coins you'll never see again like that.
Yep. I mean, we have boxes and boxes of stuff, but I mean, I got, you know.
Oh, that's awesome. Look at this.
Oh, the U.S. buckle.
Oh, yeah, Civil War.
Look at that.
Like that.
And
Old
look at how
badges.
perfect it is.
You got the puppy paw and the.
Yeah. I mean, it's just perfect. How many do you see that are smashed and beat up? And
Just a little bit of a dent on there, but that's it.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
World War I Iron Cross, U.S. buttons, local badges.
Yep. And
Yeah.
here's my
You
very
gotta
first.
pull out a plate too.
I had to pull out a plate because that was my very first one.
It's not even recognizable, is
1874.
it?
Oh, that's not a good one. Throw that
Sword
back.
plate.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is just a scratch
nice.
of the surface stuff, but
Yeah. Yep, but that's just it. If you go out and you dig enough holes, eventually something like this will come out.
Well, I mean, along the way, and I don't know how far back it goes, but you guys kind of have your own terminology that, you know, you got sieve and you've got juice and nectar. And
Rev.
does that go back to the first days of your detecting, or is that just something for the show that's come about?
No, that if you look at our DVDs way back, this is something we did, and it's the weird thing is that it wasn't conscious. We never really even expected it to catch on or be an issue or anything. I mean, we just talk that way.
Some people think it's, you know, crazy or whatever, but
we just shorten it up, and I mean, and that's the way we are, and that's the way we talk, and that's the way it just carried on to the show. The thing about the show is they've always said, don't ever change who you are. You know, do exactly what you did when you started your own business and you made your own DVDs, because that's kind of the allure of who we are. I mean, it's not, you know, I mean, kids love it, you know, and adults like it. Some people don't like it, but they're gonna have to learn to live with it.
You know, there's always somebody that's just 100% serious, and I always tell people, you know, an appreciation for history and a good sense of humor are not mutually exclusive. So, I mean, it doesn't mean we appreciate history less because we like to laugh, you know.
I mean, to each his own. We've dug with you guys before, and I know you're responsible. You're not digging holes and tearing up the landscape. I mean, what do you say to people that are getting out there, getting into metal detecting? You know, how should they conduct themselves? Or
I mean, they have to know the laws where they're going. I mean, you can't just see an old house or an old homestead and just think you can blunder out there and just start metal detecting, because you're going to end up in trouble. It's no different than fishing. You have to know the rules when you're fishing. If you're a hunter, you have to know the rules when you're a hunter. There's going to be bad people that do it. There's going to be people that go where they're not supposed to go.
Right.
But the good people shouldn't have to suffer because of them.
Exactly.
Now on the show, we see you using, looks like AT Pro and AT Gold quite a bit. You know, you said you started off in GTI, so getting back into Garrett, I mean, that was your choice, you said. So tell me about, why you used some of the Garrett gear that you use and what you like about it.
We did a lot of research, and I think the reason we originally went with the GTI 2500 was the fact that it had that size imaging and the fact that you could tell exactly how big it was. That really kind of
know what you're digging before you dig it.
Right. That was a really cool feature. But later on, I mean, when the AT Pro and the AT Gold eventually came out, the thing that really hooked us is the fact that it's just so versatile.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can just take one machine and we're on the road a lot, so it's super lightweight, it's waterproof, you don't have to worry about it much,
right.
And it's just one of those things. It was just an easy to use machine.
The thing about it is I mean, a lot of people don't have a lot of money. I mean, they can't afford a $4,000 machine. I mean, they're extremely affordable, and you could beat the crap out of them too. I mean, if you're in a creek and you stumble and you fall and you drop your machine in the creek, it's going to be okay. I mean, a lot of machines, if they hit the water, they're done.
Right.
And when we first started out with the GTI 2500, I mean, we wanted it because we were not good at the sport by no means, but so we wanted the easiest machine, for us. We didn't want to have to tweak and move dials and then worry about ever getting it back to the normal setting. The 2500, even the AT Pros, I mean, if you mess them up, you just hold the power button down, it resets itself, off you go.
And I guess if you got a problem, we're here in America, you can find us, So
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's right there in Texas, and you guys are super easy to get a hold of. So, I mean, it's just
coming up on 50 years now we've been doing this. So I think Mr. Garrett knows a few things about, what he started this company as. And
yeah, and I remember reading treasure books by him after that too. We started detecting, and then you just read all these stories about what's found. And I remember looking at the magazines and all those different treasure magazines, and there'd be these big piles of treasure and coins and jewelry spilling out, and it's like nobody can find that stuff.
Right.
That is just not possible. And now, after just 8 or 9 years, I mean, we don't even have enough room to put everything we found. It's crazy. It can come true. You don't find it
your
all.
wife loves all that stuff in the house, right?
Yeah, if you look under like my bed and stuff, there's big bags everywhere from season 1. But I remember looking at Charles Garrett's books, and then, I mean, you'd see him and he'd be in all these cool exotic places, and you'd always have treasure or cannonballs or an awesome gold coin or something, and you'd just be thinking, God, I want that to be me, and now it is.
And now you're doing a little traveling on your own, so it's working out pretty well for you.
It is.
Yes, we get to travel quite a bit, and we are super lucky. I mean, we find a lot of stuff on the show that most people will never find in a lifetime because they don't have access to those kind of spots. And it's just, believe me, we know how lucky we are.
Now, a lot of that stuff, you bring that up, I think you get to go to some great places, but you bring it all back with you? Do you keep all that, or are you donating it, or what are you doing with all this stuff?
Probably 99% of everything we find, because of where we are, because of where we're at, is so historical, say Gettysburg or Hatfield and McCoy's. I mean, that stuff, it almost has to stay where it was found because, it belongs in the community it was found at because it's important to them. I mean, you could find a Indian head penny at the OK Corral, and it don't mean anything to anybody, but if you're at the OK
eventually
Corral,
it's going to return to dirt if you don't
priceless.
Retrieve these things.
Yeah, I mean, that's a priceless artifact. And plus, most of the stuff we give away, every once in a while, rarely, we get a table full of stuff and somebody will say, if you guys want to keep something, go ahead and keep it, you know. And every once in a while, like,
That's kind of up to the landowner, in other words,
Yeah.
there.
Exactly. And there are places we go where they're just like, I don't care anything about this stuff, take it, and we'll come home with all of it, you know. And that's very rare. But those are usually the situations where it's a non-historical place, you know, where it's obviously everything's historical, but you know, a significant spot, like he said, Hatfield McCoy's, some of these old forts that we've hunted, and they already have established museums, so you know they're not just going to be shoved in the back room in a shoebox somewhere. You feel good about giving it up because everybody gets to see it, you know?
Yeah.
We did a big fort off the coast of Maine that's going to be in a season 2 episode, and that stuff is so cool because it's specific to that fort, and they've got a great museum, and we know what's going in there. So
it seems like there's a lot more of these, you know, treasure shows coming out. You know, you guys had your, you know, season or so, or season and a half that's been out. I know now that Diggers is starting to show in Europe. We've heard from some of our dealers and distributors over there in Spain and Belgium and places like, hey, we're seeing this stuff, and they're kind of getting excited. There's some other shows coming out. I mean, what do you see in the future? You know, is this opening new doors for metal detecting? Or is it good? Is it bad? What are your thoughts on where it's going?
To me, it's all good. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt. I mean, by the time we get done with this interview, I mean, there's boxes and boxes of coins being lost and jewelry being lost. You're never gonna get it all. It's constantly replenishing itself, you know. I mean, a lot of people are intimidated by other people going out because basically I think they want it all for themselves. That's my opinion, you know.
But like you said, it's constantly replenishing itself.
Yep.
There's always new stuff to find 20 years from now, you know.
exactly, and it's just I think it's great that a lot of interest is in the hobby now. I mean, it's a fun thing. You can go out and do it with family members. You can go out with friends. I mean, for us, you know, it's all about just going out and having fun. It's no different than camping or fishing or hunting or whatever. It's just another activity you can go out and have fun at. It's good for you because you're not just sitting around like we are right now.
What a life you've got here, you know. So what do you see you guys, you know, doing 20 years, 30 years from now? Where do you want to be?
20 or 30 years from now.
You'll probably be dead.
Yeah, I would say I got maybe 10 years left in me.
Yeah.
Well, after a couple knee replacement surgeries from getting up and down so much, you know.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to keep my, you know, head into the sport of metal detecting.
You think you'll still be digging coins when you're 70
Oh
years old if
yeah,
you can
as
do
long
it?
as I can dig, I'll be digging up stuff.
I see myself doing more beach stuff when I get older. You
Jewelry,
know, yeah, something like that, because it's less work. It's like really relaxing, and obviously we don't have a beach right here.
I was gonna say you better be on vacation. There's no beach out here.
So, you know, you always hear about all the people that find all the rings and jewelry on the beach and stuff, and we don't have access to that.
Maybe there'll be one in his nursing home. I'm going to the beach today.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's where I want my
Walker will get
nursing
stuck
home
in the sand.
to be on the coast so that I can just be let out on that edge of the beach, and then they'll come retrieve me and bring me back
They
in.
may let you out and just let you keep going, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's definitely gonna need caretakers, and then his walker will get stuck in the sand.
And the tide will come in, you know, and then I'll just be trapped there, and I'll be trying to gasp for air.
George will just be over there laughing somewhere in the distance. Well, maybe kind of wrap things up. Maybe we can look at some of the coins and jewelry later that you mentioned, you know, at the house or something. But
yeah,
how about for kids watching the show? You know, what do you think about people seeing detectors for the first time, and any advice for people?
Every little kid is a hunter and a treasure hunter, and they're fascinated by, you know, discovering a treasure, you know. And if you can like get a kid into that, I mean, they'll get lost in it. I have kids coming to my house, random kids all the time, beating on my door with, you know, a $20 metal detector and a handful of like screws and nuts just to show me what they found, you know. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, kids love it.
They do, and it's even as adults. I mean, if you go out and you don't have that same enthusiasm and thrill when you dig up, just say a mercury dime or something, I mean, you really shouldn't even be out doing it if you don't really care about it. It's about, you know, the thrill of the hunt and having fun.
It's kind of like a sport. You're either into it or you're not. If you're hooked on it, you can go all day and have a good day or a bad day, kind of like fishing. I've kind of always use
Exactly.
that analogy, and I kind of feel that same way about it.
Yeah.
And time goes like that when you're doing it too. It's just like you'll wake up, you'll go out there, it could be 8 in the morning, and before you know it, the sun's going down.
I think a lot of the allure of the show is that anybody can do what we do. I mean, realistically, I mean, you could take like a serious event like, say, Gettysburg and some of these battles, you know, Custard's, campsites and stuff like that. If I have my choice, a lot of them, I would rather take an old house in the middle of an old town that's been there 150 years. You've had 150 years worth of activity in a little tiny area. And to me, you're going to find more there than you're ever going to find on an old battle site or something.
Yeah, a lot of those have been, you know, hunted over the years, you know, before regulations and stuff. And, you know, it's fascinating to find that stuff. But, you know, I mean, and there are people that are just, that is their hobby. And they don't detect for any other reason other than, you know, military, historical sites and stuff. And that's just another little niche, and that's fantastic. But like he says, if you go to an old yard, I can have just as much fun or more going to a really, really old yard and pulling up silver coins and rings and stuff. I mean, that's a blast.
Sounds like you guys will be doing this for a while.
I'm not quitting anytime soon.
I ain't either. I ain't quitting until they take me out.
Yep, that's right. They'll have to drag me out, you know, straight jacket and all.
All right, well, thanks for spending a few minutes with us
Thank
today.
you,
It's been
Steve.
great talking to you.
Yeah,
Best of luck with everything coming up on the seasons to follow.
Thanks.
great.
I'm sure we'll be in touch.
All right.
Tell
Take
Vaughn
care.
hello.
We'll do it.
Gonna be okay. I'll let you out in a minute.